Welcome to season 2 of the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur. In season 1 of the Energy Upgrade, you got to have a taste for my obsession in all things health, energy, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and biohacking, or how to take radical responsibility in living a life by design. As a certified health coach, integrated health practitioner, kinesiologist, and seasoned entrepreneur who built and sold a 7-figure business, I want to dive deeper in this season 2. After healing myself from burnout, from my health falling apart, my hormones leaving my body, I'm here to share everything I wish someone had told me. Every day, I have the incredible opportunity to be mentoring women and supporting them in becoming true magnetic energy bombs. I'm helping them remember who they were all along. It's so powerful that I want to take you in on the journey, almost as if you were a fly on the wall. You'll find that I'm not your typical health coach, and I'm not your typical business coach either. I'm somewhere in between with a lot of spirituality sprinkled in there. This podcast is a sacred place where I come and share with you things that will bring you a high return on investment, because yes, I'm all about ROI. Life goes fast, and if I can show you a shortcut or two, I'll have succeeded at bringing you value. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wellness dreams. A liver detox is the fastest way to start healing. You can and you will.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. This is Vanessa Grutman, your host. And today I am talking to you live from day 2 of my liver detox. So I've been fasting for, probably like 50-ish hours. And I have to tell you, for the first time on my day 1, I actually had like the worst headache I've ever had. I had like my most violent detox experience. And it's interesting because I just flew back from Florida, where I went for a professional conference. And when I came back, I just felt toxic. And I'm sure you can relate to that feeling. I was just feeling a bit off. And so Monday morning, I was like, okay, let's do this. So I started right there. I actually decided the morning of to start my detox. And boy, that first 24-hour was rough. And I've been detoxing for years now. I do it every 3 months on the dot. And I had never experienced this. So this is just a reminder that every single detox experience is different, because your rain barrel will be different. And remember, your rain barrel, and by the way, if you haven't listened to my very first episode of this podcast, which was on the concept of the rain barrel, please go back to it. But your rain barrel is basically how toxic your body gets. But it's a combination, not just of toxins you're exposed to, but also stressors, nervous system. And it's, I've been having a really, really busy past few months. And so maybe it's that, maybe it's the accumulation of toxins when I traveled, even though I was eating really, really well. Who knows? But it certainly was an interesting 24 hours. Now, I woke up this morning feeling so clear. I'm not even hungry, feeling amazing. And I love when I feel like that, because it brings me so much clarity. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to record an episode today, because my head and my heart are both full from coming back from this professional conference where we talked about all the things: biohacking, longevity innovations, all the different ways to live a toxin-free life as much as possible. We talked about mold. We talked about water filtration. We talked about workouts, how to optimize workouts for quick results and less time. We talked about carb cycling. We talked about mindset and limiting beliefs. We did some breath work. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And I feel like I still need to take time to integrate all this learning. But today, with this clarity, I'm just I need to come and share one thing that was such a great reminder. And these are things I've been talking about on this podcast for a while. But somehow, as we enter this fall season, I just feel like we all need a bit of a reminder. And so what I'm about to share today is really the intention behind it is that purely knowledge is power. And that's really where it's coming from. It's and hopefully nobody's going to see this as like conspiracy theories or anything. It's really based on facts. It's based on the state of the world and how more than ever we need to be in control of our health. There is no best asset because life is wild. The world is wild. Let's face it. There's just so much stuff happening. And all we can do is control and become masters of our nervous system, masters of our body, masters of our vessel, our instrument, which is our body. And we do that through building awareness, through building knowledge, because that anchors us in our own power. We do that by stopping to give our power away. It has to end now. And as we're about to enter fall, or we're already in it, we don't know what's going to come up this time, right? I think we all have some form of PTSD from the past 3 years. And I don't know about you, but me, every time I see fall coming, I'm like, oh, what's going to come this time? So I wanted to bring awareness around this topic. So let's talk about who is promoting disease in the body, because there's one thing for certain, and I'm sure you can see this in your own personal life, just looking around. People are getting sicker and sicker. So there is something in our healthcare system that is not working, right? So we all have to face the evidences. It is not normal that in 2023, with the amount of innovation, science, and knowledge that we have, it is not normal to see the longevity rates decline. We see that people die earlier and are sick longer, on average 20 years of sickness before people die. I don't know about you, but I do not desire this life. I want my lifespan to equal my health span. I'm not saying I want to live until I'm 150 years old. Actually, the number doesn't really matter to me. I want to be as healthy as possible until the very last minute. And so it's important to do that. We need to really acknowledge the elephant in the room. Who is working against us? Because clearly there's something that's not working. And there's really like 4 big guys, if you will, that are kind of getting in the way of our healing, of our embodiment, I guess, of health and sovereignty. So let's talk about them. And again, I'm not sharing this to scare or overwhelm you. I'm simply sharing this because knowledge is so critical. And knowledge is hardly impossible to get around these days. And so while I still have a platform, I want to raise awareness around that. So of course, the first piece of the equation, and we've seen that, gosh, if we ever seen it in these past 3 years, is big pharma. Big pharma, and again, I am not against modern medicine at all. I think it is absolutely incredible in acute times. It saves lives every single day. And so don't get me wrong. I really think that there's a time and a place for it. The only thing I think we are maybe going too far with is that now there's a pill for every single ill. No matter where the ache is, there is a pill to numb it. And because we're numbing it, we're not healing at the root cause. So all we're doing is we're prolonging, we're like stretching the Band-Aid, stretching the elastic band. And that doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me. So really, I want to bring awareness around that, because you deserve to ask questions. You deserve to be asking for alternatives, right? I think enough are the days where when we get a prescription, we just take that for granted without asking any questions. It's time to be curious. It's time to look for other solutions. Could we go to the root cause, whether it's anxiety, ADHD, depression? I see this all the time. We get people off of these meds in all my programs all the time. And I'm not saying, obviously, remember, I'm not treating, curing any disease. So I'm not saying that that's what we do, but we really look at the root cause. We work on symptoms, and then we make your body more resilient. We empty your rain barrel. So be careful with big pharma. Also, we know that they have completely infiltrated medical schools. So really what our doctors are learning right now is how to prescribe for every ill, what to prescribe for. So that's really what they're learning. There's not a whole lot left on nutrition, holistic healing, limiting beliefs, mindset, traumas. That's not being taught in medical school. And nothing wrong about that. What I'm saying is there's a time and a place for all of it. If I break my arm tomorrow, I will be so grateful for this medical system, and I will be so grateful for a doctor that can come and help me and bring me some pain relief. So I'm not saying that this is not important, but I think we have to be careful at giving a pill to everybody at any age, right? We see our kids being medicated so early on now, when in fact, all we would need to do is just change a little bit their food intake and how they're eating. And that brings me to the second point, which is big agriculture, big food. So the problem around that is that most of the food being grown on this planet now, unfortunately, comes from monocrops, which means, and you've seen them before, especially if you're here in Canada, gosh, we have cornfields for days here. And these cornfields, these monocrops obviously are heavily sprayed. They're completely depleting our soils. And these pesticides and herbicides, unfortunately, are poisoning our soil. It's like a systemic poisoning, to the point that now it doesn't even, yes, it still matters when you purchase organic, but unfortunately, there's still going to be trace amounts of pesticides and herbicides because it is systemic in our soil, unfortunately. Fake foods, the rise of GMO, bioengineered food. I've talked about this before, but I was shocked the other day when I walked into Whole Foods and I saw some corn on the cobs, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's not the season right now. And then I looked at the label and saw in tiny, tiny print, bioengineered food. I was so shocked because I used to shop at Whole Foods for peace of mind. I used to think, okay, if I go there, I know I can trust what's presented to me because it's mainly organic, GMO free. But it's not the case anymore. Why? Because it's been purchased by Amazon. So hopefully we'll see. This podcast might get censored. But just being really careful with big food. Of course, the marketing and how they're marketing to kids. Think about marketing around cereals alone. And just so you know, Cheerios is the number one. Cheerios, which is the number one cereal that kids are consuming, is the highest food, that the highest content of glyphosate in any food. Number one is Cheerios, and that is the number one food we give our kids. And then we ask ourselves, why is there this massive rise in ADHD and behavioral problem? I guarantee you here, you remove those Cheerios, you feed them the nutrients that the body needs to heal, that the body needs to develop healthy brains, and you'll see a shift in behavior. Like, it's just as simple as that. But unfortunately, the marketing is done in a way that these products are so much more appealing, both to the kids, both to the parents, because they're easier. So if you are feeding your kid with Cheerios, I'm not blaming you here. This is the purpose of this podcast, is to bring awareness to the bigger structure, the bigger the bigger forces that are at play here. It's not even you who made a bad decision. You just went what was presented as a healthy solution. So again, the idea is bring curiosity, ask questions, don't take the marketing for granted. The other day, I was just for fun looking at a Fruit Loops box, and it had, it had all the symbols on the box, like perfect as like a healthy snack for your kids. Give it after a soccer game. Give it when they come back from school for energy. I was just blown away because, of course, we know that all the crap in there is going to do everything but give them energy. So just become super vigilant, become very aware of how you're feeding you and your family, and do not rely on marketing labels. If it comes from nature, that's probably the best thing you can feed you and your family. That's sort of in a nutshell. If it's coming in a box, if it has a long list of ingredients that you have no idea what they are, that's probably something you should stay away from. Well, my friends, Biohacking Mastery is back. You asked for it, and after its first groundbreaking success back in September, I've decided to bring it back before the holiday madness so that we can anchor our energy and really clear our minds to finish the year strong and aligned, but also start 2024 ahead of everybody. Biohacking Mastery is a free event where I go live for 5 consecutive days. 5 free 60-minute masterclasses with content that will completely blow your mind. We will talk about biohacking secrets. We will talk about the grounding force behind success, which is habit stacking. We will talk about how to dial up your posture as a magnetic leader. We will share secrets of successful women entrepreneurs who are able to balance their masculine and feminine energy, a topic that always piques everybody's curiosity. This is a free event perfectly designed for anybody who is either running their own business or even maybe in an executive position of influence, who are wanting to dial up their intuition, to really show up as the authentic version of themselves. Or maybe if you're just needing that mindset shift, that reset to start healing and optimizing your health. So this free event starts on November 6th, and for 5 consecutive days, we'll meet on Zoom for a free masterclass. Now you can register via the link in bio, and everybody, we had hundreds of women join in the first edition of Biohacking Mastery, and everyone said one thing: I cannot believe the amount of information that's shared for free here. So don't miss it this round. You can register now until November 6th, and I hope to have the absolute pleasure and joy to be holding the energy of this vibrant masterclass and teachings and big event starting November 6th. I hope to see you there. Now, I talked about Amazon, and that brings me to number 3, which is big tech. So obviously, big tech. So there's really only 5 companies. Let's try to see if I can remember them. Meta, of course, which is Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Amazon, of course, Microsoft, Google. What's the 5th one? Apple, probably. So these 5 companies literally own the information we have access to. They own the internet. They own the algorithms. They own whatever you are being pushed as information, whatever you're being fed as marketing. And interestingly, they then get to decide what gets censored. And that is the problem. Even just 2 weeks ago in the US, YouTube went even further at censoring any health-based content. So now anything that provides a health, an alternative, or that talks about holistic health, now get censored on YouTube. So you see, and now in Canada, they're wanting to do the same with podcasts. So I don't know how long this podcast, unfortunately, will be able to go for, because that's the future, is as now you can start to make threads, right? Big pharma and big food and big tech are all working together. And that brings me to number 4, working with big governments. Is the government wanting your best interest? I think you hopefully are starting to connect the dots here. They make money off of us being sick, having low energy, going for easy, quick solution, which is your big food. We're being fed the information that the government wants us to know about. The government is being funded by the pharma, which also benefits from us being sicker and sicker and sicker. So unfortunately, it's turned into a full corporation. And here we are trying to navigate our life, trying to contribute to society, and getting sicker by the day. So remember, those 4 structures, they're all working together. It's all intertwined, and they control basically everything. So just, again, be aware. So what do we do with that information? Like, I don't want to overwhelm you, but really, there's never been a better time to learn about your body, to be connected to your body, to decide to take your health into your own hands, to heal your past traumas, to visit your limiting beliefs, to break through them, to transcend, to rid your body of accumulated toxins, to have tools in your toolbox so that you can always be there to troubleshoot and support you and your family through the highs and lows of life. Because the other thing that nobody talks about is there's never been a better time to reconnect to our intuition. Remember, for those of you out there who are moms, you know that mama bear gut feeling, that intuition. You don't even, like, I know I'm just telling you this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is the intuition that you have. It's in you. And we've been kind of forced to believe that it doesn't own any power, it doesn't have any weight. But I'm here to remind you that that's exactly what these 4 big structures are worried about. Because once you reconnect with your body and your intuition, you're not going to worry about these 4 things, or you're not going to need them as much. You're not going to rely 100% on it. At some point, we all rely on big tech. We all rely on big food and to some extent on the government. So there's always going to be a level of connection there. But if you can take the rein back on the majority of how you go through your life, you'll find so much more liberation. Because the truth of the matter is, the fear that we've been feeling these past 3 years has been related to the unknown. And if we can focus on the things we have control on, and if health can be part of that, if how you are generating income, maybe how you're diversifying your business, how you're starting a small project on the side, or how you're growing your business as an entrepreneur. If you start putting your energy there, you'll see that that's what's going to grow, instead of putting your energy into what you can't control, which is what big pharma, big food, big tech, big government are going to decide to do tomorrow, because we don't know. They always come up with fun new plot twists, so we don't know what they're going to be doing. So might as well not focus on that and just focus on you, your energy, your health, the health of your family. What can you start doing here and now today to break the cycle? Because I want to finish with this. The absence of health here, the absence of disease, here and now. So meaning, if you don't have a diagnostic, let's say, of a disease today, it doesn't mean you're healthy. We have to stop normalizing or thinking that being healthy is not taking meds or not being diagnosed with anything. If you don't have energy in the morning, if you are bloated after every meal, if you can't go through a day without 5 cups of coffee to keep you awake, if you have to have a glass of wine just to unwind from a stressful day every single day, well, I would like to bet that maybe you're not at your optimal health, and maybe there's something underneath it all that is asking for your attention. So let's start thinking that absence of disease means health. I see that all the time. People are like, yes, I'm healthy. But then when I start digging, they're not. So can we just see ourselves and realize and bring awareness to our current situation? We also know now that the 5 causes of mortality, the 5 top causes of mortality are lifestyle based, which means they are 20, 30 years in the making. And as a reminder, those 5 causes of mortality are cardiovascular, stroke, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, dementia, which we know now is type 3 diabetes. All of those 5 things are lifestyle based. Like I said, 20, 30 years plus in the making. The data is showing that now. And cancer is a bit of the wild card, probably also has a lot to do with toxins. But if you start taking care of your health, of your body here and now today, before your body starts to shut down, before you start having disease, that's when you take control back. That's when your nervous system can finally focus on the things that you are doing to keep yourself well, to keep your family well. And I can tell you, there's a strong amount of liberation. There's a strong amount of empowerment that comes from that. And that's really how we dissolve fear. That's how we dissolve the PTSD we've all been going through for the past 3 years. And that's how we regain control. So I hope that this episode was enlightening. And my goal, again, was not to overwhelm. It wasn't to bash. I know that, the government and pharma and big tech and big food, I know that they don't do everything wrong. I know that there's things that they do okay, but I also mostly recognize that, unfortunately, their primary reason for existing and growing is financial. So it is not, they do not have the population's health at heart. We just have to stop putting our head in the sand, and we have to face facts, and that's okay. That's fine. Perfect. Well, now that we know that, let's go back on what we can control. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was enlightening. Feel free to share this. I know this is a bit of a controversial topic. Like I said, hopefully I do not get censored. I might, who knows? But this is something I'm really wanting people to be more and more aware of, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worse. So we gotta make it stop. And the only way you can make it stop is when you stop giving them the attention and the focus you want. You stop purchasing these foods. You stop making those unaligned decisions, and you start reconnecting with you, with your intuition, with your body, with your health. That's how you can feel liberated and move through life despite all of this, and still hold a powerful, positive vision for the world. Because at the end of the day, we are the change we want to see in the world. So if you're frustrated with these organizations, well, start walking in the direction of the change you want to see. That's how we break the cycle. If this episode was helpful, if it enlighten you in any way, feel free to come and let me know. Find me in my DMs or share on your social media platform. I always love to know where you were when you were listening to this. Were you on your walk? Were you driving? Send a picture, post to share with your network, because the more we talk about this, the more we empower people back into their health and their body, the more our community will rise together. And the more we can pave the way and hold the light for our kids. That's really what I'm so passionate about, because it can look like a scary place out there. So let's hold the light, let's hold the vision together. And the more we are, the quicker we'll see those changes happening. Thank you again for listening. If this podcast continues to be helpful for you, let me know. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I read every single one of you. It brings such a big smile to my face every time, sometimes tears to my eyes. And I'm so grateful that you are here back week after week. Thank you again. And I wish you a wonderful week. I can't wait to see you again next week. Bye for now. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.